My boss fired me for stealing company time. He had no idea what I was actually doing. My boss fired me for stealing company time, then smiled and told me I'd never find another good job. What he didn't know was that every hour I spent after work was actually being used to collect evidence against the person sitting 3 feet away from him. I'd worked at the company for almost 6 years, handling invoices, payroll reports, and client accounts. 4 months before I was fired, I noticed several payments going to the same outside vendor. The amounts were different, but when I compared the invoices, I realized some were duplicates with different dates and descriptions. I mentioned it to my manager, and he barely looked at them before saying, "Probably an accounting mistake. Don't worry about it." A week later, one of our biggest clients contacted us and said they had never approved a payment that appeared in our system under their name. That was when I stopped believing it was a mistake. I started quietly saving records and comparing transactions after everyone else had gone home. I didn't accuse anyone because I wanted proof first. Then my boss suddenly started treating me differently. He questioned why I stayed late, criticized small mistakes, and accused me of wasting company resources. One Friday afternoon, he called me into his office and pushed a report across the desk. It showed hundreds of after-hours logins under my name. "You're stealing company time," he said. "You're lucky we're not taking this further." I almost laughed. Those late-night logins were me tracking the money he didn't want anyone to find, but I kept my mouth shut. I packed my things, walked out, and the next morning emailed everything I had collected to the CEO from my personal account. I expected an immediate response. Instead, nothing happened. 3 days passed. Then I received a message from an unknown number. "You were right. Don't talk to anyone." I called the number, but it was already disconnected. The next morning, the CEO finally called me. His first question was, "How long have you suspected your manager?" I asked what he meant. He told me the company had discovered that more than $800,000 had disappeared through fake vendor payments. My manager had approved them, but the CEO had discovered something worse. Someone inside the company had been warning my manager whenever an investigation got close. He asked me to come back and help identify that person. I agreed, but I had one condition. I wanted my old job back with a promotion. 2 weeks later, the company held an emergency meeting. My former manager walked into the conference room expecting to explain why the missing money wasn't his fault. Instead, the CEO placed my evidence on the table. Then he turned to the head of accounting and said, "Would you like to explain why your personal account received these same payments?" Her face went completely pale. My former manager looked directly at me and whispered, "You set me up." I shook my head and said, "No, you did that yourself." The investigation uncovered the entire scheme. My former manager and the head of accounting had created fake vendors, approved fake invoices, and split the stolen money between themselves. They had fired me because they thought I was getting too close to the truth, but they had made one huge mistake. They assumed that once I was gone, nobody would have the evidence. They were wrong. The CEO didn't just give me my job back. He promoted me into the position my former manager had been trying to protect for himself. On my first morning in my new office, I found a note waiting on my desk. It said, "You were never fired because you stole company time. You were fired because you were the only person using it to find the truth." I framed that note and put it above my desk. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone yourself. It's letting them destroy themselves while you quietly keep the receipts.